I read a book once that said, as a mother, never take anything personally. I'm like, done. Done.
Just don't take it personal. Let it kind of just sit on the surface. And 9 times out of 10, if you do that, then things just move forward a lot more smoothly.
God is speaking to you that you are this amazing being. You're this amazing creation. And you're totally bringing yourself down. You're degrading yourself.
God handed you a gift and you took it and destroyed it.
Are we really involved in living that faith practically?
You do not have to keep people in your life that can bring you down, weigh you down. You can be kind to people, loving to people, but that does not grant them access to your space.
This is what it looks like, not yelling at me, not degrading me. It's an invitation. They don't have to accept it.
Sometimes I win and sometimes I learn.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Seth, and this is The Forever Young Show. The most powerful force in this world is a woman who knows who she is, why she is here, and what she wants to accomplish.
And that's where self-care comes in. As a woman, it is my opportunity and my responsibility to take care of me.
Self-care for your mind.
Self-care for your body.
Self-care for your money.
Our mission is to serve women as they fulfill their irreplaceable roles in families, society, business, the fabric of humanity.
So let's get this show on the road. We're here in the studios here in Utah, for those of you who are tuning in, video or audio, and we're with Monica Bambrough, somebody I've known for, 20 years? More than 20. When did you guys?
More than about 18.
Okay.
But then before that, we had crossed paths and we've made a connection from, a few years before that.
Right. And dear friends of Stephanie and our families, we have a yearly barbecue.
We tried to.
We tried.
Did we do it last year?
No.
No, we were going
Excuse
to,
me.
but then we ended up having to postpone it, and it hasn't
It
ever
didn't happen last year?
come to fruition.
No, so sad.
Did it happen the year before?
Always.
Yes.
Okay.
I think last year.
And the year before, yeah, I think last year was kind of a. You did reach back out to us and say, "Are we going to reschedule?" And I don't think Stephanie looked at the calendar.
Well, it's usually in September,
Right.
because once we get past September, it's never going to happen. So it's all good.
Anyway, Monica, you and your husband Blaine have 4 children,
Correct.
right? From ages youngest to oldest?
13 to 26.
13 to 26. And you entered the realm of grandparenthood
I did.
within the last year, wasn't it?
Yes. December.
How's that?
I think I'm just feeling like I'm a mom.
You're still a mom?
Babies and love and okay.
Yes.
I haven't gotten to the grandma stage of come to all my events and all that. So I'm ready for all the fun and crazy that comes with
Well,
that.
you're young grandpa. It's also, I think it's interesting when you're like your first grandchildren, especially if you're on the younger side, right? Like, I mean, we're still parents. We got 6 grandkids, and it's like, well, how do I draw the line between I'm going to be dad, like this 6-year-old, I'm dad, and this 6-year-old,
I'm
grandpa, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully everyone will be out of the house by the time they're really saying,
cranking.
Grandma. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But so good to have her. She's cute.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Those baby snuggles are everything.
Oh, they're the best. Especially when you haven't had them, in 13 years, right?
Yeah.
Just wrap them up and snuggle and
Yes. Put them to sleep.
kiss them on the face.
So what are they going to call you?
I don't know. I've been working through that. I don't know if I'm set into the grandma, grandpa thing. I'm not set on the weird off the wall things either. I kind of love Oma and Opa because of my heritage. So Swiss heritage, it's Oma and Opa.
Cute.
Okay.
I like that.
So it's just enough different, but still meaning the same.
Yeah.
When we became grandparents and when the grandkids started to get older and we started talking because he already knew what he wanted to be called, Papa. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. So I was going through all these names. And I mean, I became a grandma the day after I turned 34. And so I'm like, I'm too young to be called grandma. Like, I got to come up with a cool name.
Yeah.
And anyways, our grandchild, when he first called me Grandma Molda, and I was like, my heart melted. And I was like, I don't care how old I am Grandma Mulder.
I love that. Yeah.
It was
No,
so
you got to
sweet.
have fun cousins to give you crazy names. So when I told them I was a grandma, they couldn't believe it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I got it. Gramica.
Gramica.
Grandma Monica, right?
Oh my goodness.
Cute.
I'm like, I don't know if that will fly, but you're cute. Just for
Yeah,
coming up with
yeah.
that. So,
Well,
Very creative.
At some point, your grandkids will perhaps give you the pet names.
Right.
That's how it often works. I remember my grandmother on my mom's side, her husband, my grandfather, he was granddad. Like, she was very explicit. He's not grandpa. Like, this, whatever, growing up when they did, in the mid 1900s, it was like, there was no grandpa around here. It's granddad. And everybody was very, we all fell in line, so it was always, that was easy for me to separate the two sides, right? My mom's side and my dad's side. I've got granddad here on mom's side and grandpa over here on my dad's side.
I think that's usually how it works out, though, right?
That's so funny because, my dad's
names.
dad was the same way. I am granddad. And the other side was like, whatever.
Call me what you want, right?
I think it's just going to come around. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not set on anything.
Yeah.
It'll fall into place.
And professionally, you tell us a little about your professional background.
Oh, professionally, I did interior design for really my whole life. When I was younger, I always knew what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. So that was easy for me. And then later in life, a friend was starting a company here in Utah, financial education, and he asked me to help him launch it here. So I kind of switched gears and helped him launch that and help people with their finances, and did that for several years. And now I'm on a different path and had to kind of say I have to step out. So sorry.
Yeah, I did see something recently, came through our emails. Was I encroaching on you?
Yes.
I didn't know if
On
you
my
were giving me
toes.
the boot tap, like, hey, this is that time. We have a secret message. When I get the boot tap, then I'm supposed to ask the specific question.
No,
But it was really early. It was really early in the podcast. I'm like, we're we really doing that question right now? No, it was just I'm encroaching on your space. So I know we're going to get to social media here in a bit, perhaps. We talk about cultural norms and how that affects women. But you're on Instagram, right?
I am now.
Okay.
Only for the last, 8 months or so.
Yeah, it's called PR, right?
It is called PR.
It is where you need to be if you want to reach people, right?
Right.
This is where eyes are.
Right.
Now, so looking at some of the trending reels, right? Short form video going on. Steph's like, we need to recreate this video, Seth, and it's the video where the wife does what the husband would do.
Oh.
And the husband acts like what the wife would do. And so
that would be
she's
fun.
like, yeah, so I'm just going to come in and kind of like sprawl myself out over everything into everybody's space. I'm like, for what? Like, because I'm acting like you. Like, oh. And then I started realizing.
And does he need the remote?
The remote.
Because if he's sprawling out, does he need the remote for the television too?
No, that's just how he is.
Is this like
Dinner
we're sitting
table,
in church? Okay. And she's
concert,
like, hello.
Everything.
church, everywhere.
No spatial awareness.
Yes. He's like, so I did it back. And he's like, is that how it feels?
Is that what it
I was like, yes.
Yes.
And he's like, that is really uncomfortable.
You're like, yes, dear, it is.
Exactly.
Let me help you out here.
So I've been thinking, okay, you're just making a satire and having some fun, laughing at yourself. I know that's one of your secret. That's one of your
Strengths.
Yeah. So how would I act like you?
Me?
Yeah.
How would Seth act like
Like, how do I do
Stephanie?
that?
I don't know. That right there.
One thing is taking an hour to eat dinner.
An hour to eat dinner. Oh, that's
This is true.
funny.
This is
I
true.
do
Savoring the
take my
moment.
time. Hey, my doctor did say I chew my food really well.
I actually caught a little blurb. I need to do some more research on this, but there apparently is some research in the scientific world dealing with longevity that shows the longer cultures take to eat, the longer they live. So this whole drive-through, hurry up, wolf it down, strategy is probably not the best if you're interested in a long life. So
If you want to step out at 80, right, just jump into that. Why not?
exactly.
I don't want to at 80, so.
So I've been trying to think about how I could, approach this satire, because she doesn't do the sprawling thing. I'm like, this is gonna be really uncomfortable. How am I gonna do? How am I gonna do this? I'm gonna have to sit like this.
Yes.
So speaking of interior design, you are our go-to.
Usually. Yes.
Yes.
Monica.
This is true.
Well,
I need some help.
let's see.
We need help. We need help. We're remodeling this part of the house, or
Yeah.
we need a new sink.
Or how about
Yeah.
we don't want the house to look like a man cave?
That too. We've done some good stuff
You have.
over the years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Between your love for color and your ability to put things together, we were just looking at some photos the other day on the computer. I think the kids were going through, and we have this incredible great room with we live in a log home, for those of you who don't know, and I don't know, 19-foot ceiling, 20-foot ceiling, massive windows looking out to the east, and for the longest time, we had essentially no furniture.
Yeah.
we moved-
Unless you include like a love sack.
We had the love sack
Furniture.
beanbag, and we
It was the equivalent of folding tables and folding chairs.
Exactly.
we had a nice leather couch actually in there.
That was
with
like-
deep wood. That was right.
Super small.
It could fit 3 people, right? And I think we had a hard
I said.
bench.
With 10 kids.
We had a hard bench and a love sack, and I think we lived in the house for how many years? 4 years?
Something like that.
4 years? I think it was 4 or 5 years before we're like, we have got to get some official furniture.
I don't remember it exactly that way. I think it was more of a, hey, honey, we need more than just, And you're like, I think it's fine for now. And I'm like,
And,
no.
and then you showed me the stuff that the
Yes.
store sent you home with. And I was just like, oh, please. We are headed to the store together. Let's straighten this out.
Yes, I remember
Some
that.
better
I remember
stuff.
that. That was so fun.
And
was
Monica was the one that said, yeah, it's kind of like a man cave. We need more. And I'm like, that's what it is. You nailed
Man
it.
cave. Because it's, a log home and
Yes.
all the
Yeah, well, half
the
the people
things
call
that
it
go
a
with
cabin.
that.
Yeah.
It's a home, but then again, we had buffalo robes, buffalo hides, on the floor. and
Yeah.
yeah, I think
we
I
brought
had
it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Stephanie loves red, so we had to do red.
Oh.
And
Yes.
I love that
Make
red.
it
That
fun.
red sofa. Is
yeah,
It's a statement piece.
absolutely.
it is.
Yes.
So you recently stepped away from your work, and we might jump into the financial thing because we always talk about financial
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah.
When we actually worked with you, you kind of drug us along, or I say you drug us along because we kind of drug our feet.
Oh,
at
I'd always
times.
say, I'm going to charge you extra if you don't get your rear in gear and get your finances in line.
But you're stepping away from that
Yeah,
officially.
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, when am I going to get you back? 8 to 10 years.
And that is because
Well, I got a calling with my church,
Okay.
and it seems really like full-time.
really,
Yeah, a lot of effort, time, different things that you're focused on, and 10 irons in the fire at a time, just depending on what's going on. And so, if I can't give 100% to something, I'm not gonna do it, because then I'm letting someone else down when they're counting on me, and I'm not gonna do that because that leaves them holding the bag.
Yeah.
So out of respect, I just had to say, I'm so sorry. I cannot give my best efforts to clients. I cannot help them along their way like I want to. And so it's probably not best for me to start any new clients. And I had to step out. So I just maintain my current clients as they need me and focus on what's now in front of me. And it's fine. It's all good. I've succeeded in that. And number one, what would you say, rep for the company in.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say.
I mean, yeah.
You just say it's time to step out. And I told him, I'm sorry, God wins over you, buddy.
Every time.
I love you, but you know what? God wins. So
Every
I have
time.
to step out.
So this new position with your church, you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Correct.
And our podcast, I mean, this show reaches so many different religions, which I do want to probably jump in because the whole interfaith
Oh, yes.
discussion, I think, is worthwhile. We obviously have so many people from so many different faiths into Asia and all around the world, right? But tell us about this new opportunity. And this is not a paid gig.
No, it's a service. Really,
It's
right?
a service for the
It's
next
a
8 to
service.
10 years.
8 to 10 years of serving.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, because you're building relationships and that takes time. And let's say it took me a year to build a relationship and then I was out in 3. I don't know how much I could get done. But if I've got 8 to 10 years to really jump in and learn of these people, love these people, serve with these people, hopefully we can do that for 8 to 10 years instead of just a quick hi and bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be a really hard day with a lot of tears when I have to step out because you just learn to love so many people.
Well, and you're really good at it. We've seen you in action a few times, and
Oh.
you're made for this calling.
Oh, that's sweet.
Like-
Thank you.
Just how warm and personable you are, and you really connect with other people and help them to feel welcomed.
So what's the scope of this assignment? And when I say, I say assignment. Oh, you're like,
You got
boy.
an hour?
Here we go. So in the church, in this church, you are asked to fulfill responsibilities, right?
Right.
It's called a calling, right? Or an assignment, and you choose. I mean, it's not compulsory.
Right.
You get to choose whether you want to accept it or not.
Right. And you also get to choose how engaged in it you are. Right? It's not a
Yeah.
have to.
Yes.
I don't have to do anything in this calling. I think I got a 1-page sheet explaining my calling, and they're just like, you know what? I think you'll do great. Just go and do what you want to do. So
Wow.
here we are doing all kinds of fun stuff, connecting with a lot of fun people. I think you joined us for Shabbat with Rabbi Charnes,
Yes.
which was amazing. I don't know if he did that.
I don't think so.
He said, Rabbi Joseph, as I call him, Brother Joseph. Right?
Mine's just Bro Joe.
Bro Joe.
It's Bro Joe and Sismo. We had to shorten things because we just got to get right to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it's funny that he would get right to it because he, like myself,
Oh.
has a way of doing a short 30-minute sermon on a 30-second subject.
Oh yeah, he called me yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, I just had to be personal, so I called you." So, and an hour later, it's like, okay, we covered all the breadth of topics that we possibly could in an hour. We solved all kinds of problems, and now we're done. 1 hour.
So we attended
That's
the
great.
Shabbat service,
Yeah.
right? A Jewish Shabbat on a Friday evening,
Right.
right, with a meal. And I was singing because he said, normally I would sing for you, but I'm not tonight, and I was like,
That's why I'm here.
I
was
came here-
disappointed.
I
know,
came
I
here to hear
know.
Tevye. Right? I came here for Fiddler on the Roof. Right.
Well, he always says, I don't speak anything in the the Jewish language. I'm really, even I know Shalom Havarim. Come on. I think you're pulling my leg. I think he, tries to just, in a big setting like that, keep it reverent. And it's hard to keep it reverent and sing hymns of his praise in that setting. That's how I would observe that. If it was smaller, more quaint, I think he would bring out
I gotcha.
the deeper details. Yeah.
So this assignment then that you're doing with your church is a PR. It's public relations.
That's the
right?
simplest way to cover it. Yeah.
Okay, what's the not simple way to cover it?
Assistant Director, the Mount Nebo Communication Council for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay, PR. I like that.
I know. I was like, public relations.
Yeah,
we are.
beautiful.
And so when you're talking about PR, really, what does that entail other than what was on the one page? I mean, so you're working with Jewish rabbis. You do some interfaith.
I do a lot of interfaith work. I'll attend worship services with anybody, pretty much. And it's lovely. The people are beautiful. You always leave there with a connection and understanding some differences, but more than likely all the similarities. There's so many. Recently, we took 330 youth and adults to Salt Lake City and did a day of service in Salt Lake.
330 youth from where?
From our stake.
Okay. So from your congregations.
From our church area, yeah.
Wow.
And we served at several nonprofits and other religions so that they could learn about other people, learn differences, how people worship, and understand that it's okay and they're still amazing and they're lovely and giving. And I can make a list of things that they are. They're just amazing. And I think it's important that youth learn that before they become adults, because then it's a little bit harder to pull an adult in to learn those kind of things. And we served at a Buddhist temple, Congregation Kolami, which is a Jewish synagogue. We helped in their garden. The Methodists, the Catholics, the Baptists, the road home type shelter. It is called Fill the Pot Ministries. And so you learn from that reverend why he serves, why he loves to help the community and the beauty in that. And St. Vincent de Paul, which is Catholic Community Services, how they prepare 850 meals a day for the homeless for lunch and dinner. And so, the list can just go on of all the good that these places do. And we wanted to highlight them so the youth could be like, wow, this is awesome. And hopefully change their lives moving forward.
Sometimes historically, when many people feel so passionately about, their faith or their religion, and they do it, I think unknowingly sometimes too, but they kind of almost unknowingly narrow their perspective.
Oh, for sure.
And when you narrow your perspective, you close that vision, you turn off your ears,
right,
and start to think, life's great, yes, and this faith that you have is wonderful, but sometimes you forget the real purpose of faith.
Right.
Or at least faith as we have it, which is not to stay with you. It's like to get out, and it doesn't really matter, where somebody goes to church or if they go to church.
Right.
Like, are we really involved in living that faith practically, as opposed to kind of siloing ourselves off and becoming almost ignorant about all these other people in our communities?
You lose so much beauty and learning experiences when you shut people out because they don't believe or live exactly like you. I think I'm a better person because I have such varied friendships, and it has been like that my whole life. One of my friends is no longer a member of our faith, but I don't know what I'd do without her in my life. She's just so hilarious. She might say a few words that I would never say, and do a few things I'd never do. But I absolutely love her, and I'm grateful for her because it helps me understand her as a person beyond a religion, and the beauty of her and her family. And if we could do more of that, I think we'd do a lot better in the world as a whole. Because I ask and invite and have open invitations to anyone that wants to join me at another worship service. anyone's welcome to come. I'll call the reverend and say, hey, I'd love to bring some friends. Are you okay with that? Okay, this is when we're coming. So he's not like, oh, wow. Monica just walked in with 10 missionaries. That's not why we're there. So the biggest thing when you're doing interfaith, I would say, is more of keep your mouth shut and just listen and learn. They'll learn about you along the way without you saying anything. And but we need to learn first and foremost, because so many good people. Like at the Buddhist temple, Reverend Tam is 4 foot something. She's short, and she does have the shaved head, and she does wear the brown robes, but she was so darling and just welcoming and warm. She bore her testimony about her beliefs inside her temple, and everyone loved it. She also made everyone that served there, so about 40 people, homemade egg rolls and fried rice.
Oh, wow.
When are you going
As
next
a
time?
gift. I know. I can call her and say, okay, we're coming. Can you do that again? And I know she would. But I mean, for her to just do that as a thank you gift, that was her showing gratitude. I thought that was the sweetest thing. She didn't have to do that. And I think that's kind of how a lot of hearts are. But I would never know that if we didn't go there and serve her. And it's a totally different way of believing in things. But someone had a deeper conversation during the downtime of the youth coming and going to serve, and he found a lot of similarities. So take the time to find similarities and make a new friend. They're the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know the time that we spent with Rabbi.
Rojo.
Yeah, Brojo. Was just phenomenal. We had, after everybody had left the Shabbat service,
Oh, right.
a handful of us, we all sat around that table and just talked and talked and talked and laughed. And
Oh, he's so funny.
He's hilarious. Oh my
So
goodness.
funny. Oh, we were laughing during our phone call because he just comes up with all the crazy stuff. Oh, I might add to that, but it's just fun. He's a real person. I think that's what we have to understand, right? They're just people.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they want to pick up their child and hold their child just like you do. They walk the same way we do. I'm sure they have the exact same desires as we do. So they're really just like us. And I don't know. I think too often we put labels on people.
I was just going to say,
Yes.
we get to the labels
Yeah.
discussion.
Like, oh, I can't talk to them because they're XYZ, the CEO, the president, the apostle, whatever you want to put that label on someone. Why can't you? Why can't you talk to everybody? They're a person. That just happens to be their job. So connect with them as a person.
Or their faith, or their belief.
Right.
Or their,
Why do you have to connect with them as the president, as the CEO? I'm sure they'd love a break from that label.
That's so true.
And just, let me be me. Okay, let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like, women want to be looked at more than just mom
Oh, for sure.
beyond that label, even though it is a beautiful label to have.
What do you do? You take it and make it awesome and do it your way. And being a mother, I think, is one of the greatest things because you get one chance, right? So take that gift and give it all you can. It doesn't always work out the way you'd envision it. Sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, I did not teach you that. That is nothing that I had to do with, right?
Yes.
But still, you just give your all, and at the end, you just appreciate where you're at,
Love and support them on their journey.
right? Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be easy to disconnect yourself from that. I've just talked to some friends recently who have, we've just gotten to that discussion of, well, how do you disconnect so that you're not taking it on personally?
Oh,
And
I read a book once that said, as a mother, never take anything personally. And I think this was before I had my first child. I'm like, done. Done. I will never take anything they say or do personally because I'm doing my best. And again, I would totally laugh at stuff. I'm like, okay. right? So, I mean,
That is sage advice, though. That is sage advice.
oh, it's the best thing.
If you find as a parent you reacting, I do this, and 9 times out of 10, it's because I'm taking it personal, and it's like, dude, don't take yourself so seriously.
Well, for sure.
And like step back, and there are a lot of things that are going on here. There's a lot of moving parts. You got all their moving parts. You wish some of them were moving more than others, right?
Right.
Some of them are moving maybe too fast, and then you've got all your moving parts. Yeah. It's like just don't take it personal. Let it kind of just sit on the surface, and 9 times out of 10, if you do that, then things just move forward a lot more smoothly.
Oh, so quickly you can move through things if you just laugh at it. I mean, everyone's had a 4-year-old that says things that you shouldn't say. I remember my nephew calling my sister-in-law a stupid, fuzzy idiot. It's like the funniest phrase. But if you took that personally from a 4-year-old, and every other time they said something like that, and as they get older, they just say things, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You just have to laugh at that and say, oh, okay.
Yes.
It really is just an okay.
It doesn't just come from 4-year-olds. I mean,
right.
Our 8-year-old a few different times have said, Mom, you look really bloated. And on one of those times, same day, she said, Mom, look, my butt's getting as big as yours. I was like,
How can you not laugh at that?
all right, well.
And Steph was totally cool with it,
I'm
right?
smart Alex, so I'm sure I would come back with something pretty quick on that, but you totally can't take that personally.
No, I
my.
laughed. I probably would have come up with something too, but I was a little shocked.
You're like, where did you come up with that? Yeah.
All right, we've arrived.
Oh. And it's like the phrase, kids say the darndest things.
Yes,
at
they
all
do.
ages.
Sometimes they say things we want to say.
Yes. You're like, go for it. Took the words out of my mouth.
Have you seen the movie Inside Out too?
No, I'm not a big movie goer.
Okay.
Why is that?
I'd rather be doing something else productive.
Doing something.
Doing something. Yeah.
What about Blaine?
Blaine loves movies.
So how does that work out? Like Blaine watches movies and you do something else? Or do you
If he wants to go to a movie and I'm not a fan of it, he usually gets the kids together and they go. And I'll find something else to do. I'm picky on my movies. I'm like, that's just not any interest to me.
I think you might like. Did you see Inside Out 1?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's cute.
Seth and I laughed so much on Inside Out 2 because it really depicts the emotions that a teenager goes through.
Oh, goodness.
It really was fun. I mean, it
That's
did make me
far-reaching.
tear up and cry a few times too.
Oh.
Maybe it took me back to being a teenager.
Yeah.
Or feeling for my own teenagers.
Yeah.
But man, there were some, because they hit it spot on.
It was great, actually, honestly, to take our young kids too, to help them quantify, and to qualify their own emotions.
Yeah.
Right? To work through those and to recognize that they've got these little emotion buddies, right?
Going on
in there, right? And
Well, and that they're not alone. Like, it's normal.
Yeah.
It's-
Everyone has all these.
yeah.
Yes.
The movie has to be pretty amazing for me to step into the theater and give them $12.
Tuesdays.
$5 Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
We have done that. We have done that.
Yeah.
So
It's usually when we go. It's $5
Yeah.
Tuesday.
yeah.
Here is a movie, and we've said it here before. Everybody who's listening and listening to the episode, they're like, okay, here we go on Cabrini. Have you seen Cabrini?
No, I want to see that.
Monica.
I have
Okay,
not had time.
That movie is
That
right.
one I would pay for.
You definitely would.
Yeah.
Best movie we've seen in the last 5 years.
Really?
It's way up there. Yeah.
Like I'll put that on my
So
all-time list of inspirational,
Right.
change your life movies. Like I like sports movies. All right.
I like those.
Like
If they're real.
Remember the
If they're
Titans.
real
and
stories.
Okay, then
Facing the Giants, and
Right.
like I love all those. McFarlane. With Kevin Costner.
USA.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen McFarlane?
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that one.
But
It's a good one.
those are great.
Yeah.
Cabrini is a classic
Wow.
of storytelling. And especially I think
by,
for people of faith. Angel Studios.
Yeah, Alejandro Monteverde, right?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think so.
I don't know.
I think that's his movie.
But
I
it's
don't,
amazing.
I don't typically go to movies more than once. Because
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a hard time watching them again unless I absolutely love them.
Right.
And I went again with our
Oh.
daughter and some friends. And
Okay.
it was
Oh,
so
so
good.
See, I just need to nail it down and
So
do it.
good.
I just get busy and don't
Yeah, it's-
prioritize a movie.
I think, obviously, our audience is women.
Right.
And so speaking to those women, every woman needs to see that movie
Oh,
to realize a little better who she is by watching this, Mother Cabrini, to realize who she is and what she is capable of.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
And this
Because
woman,
she had to fight,
Oh,
this woman
yes.
basically
Right?
told the Pope
Yes.
jump in a lake.
respectfully,
Yes.
I'm doing my thing.
take your towel as you jump in the lake,
Yes.
right? And he responds to her, sister, I don't know where your faith begins and your ambition ends. So powerful. She had ambition to do. She had.
What's
a
wrong
work.
with that?
That absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
I probably could slow down a
huge.
little bit. I don't know.
I could probably use some of your ambition.
Hey, we just need to hang out. Yeah, it was.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth the time. 100%. It's
Yeah.
super inspiring.
Yeah.
All right. Monica, what are you most passionate about right now and what are you doing about it?
I would say focusing on connection. I don't know. Give me my notes. That would make
No
it
way.
so much more easy.
No way.
Give me my novel. And by doing that, it's so much. It's listening, it's learning, it's accepting, it's loving, embracing. Connection is a difficult thing for a lot of people. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to just jump in and do it.
Do you say that from a career standpoint, right? Whether it was interior design or financial literacy, now PR with the church, or are you talking about just in general? I'm passionate about connecting in all facets of my life. Like what?
I would
leads you
say
to
in
say that?
general. I would say in general. So it just happens to work with the calling I have. I didn't have to really shift. Maybe I've gotten a little better at it, which hopefully this calling does for me on a lot of levels. I hope I get better at a lot of things. But I think connection is key if you want to work with anybody. You have to be kind, you have to be loving, you have to be accepting, you have to be able to kind of bend when you don't want to bend. So many things. And it's a benefit in life. So if you have a hard time with connecting, just take a baby step. Figure out something to do to get you a little further into that process. And then once you master that, take another step. Do it again and again and again. Hopefully build a good circle of people, right, that love you and support you. And that gives you confidence to do it even more.
We ask a lot of women that question,
Yeah.
and I always love their answers because that's what they're invested in, right? One thing I found interesting when you said connection was when we typically talk about what are you passionate about, it usually is focused on a project, a business, a competition.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this has to do with maybe the transition that you're in right now, kind of transitioning out of more secular, working for gain, right, in a good way,
Yeah.
versus 100% focus on a volunteer service type of a outreach with the church. But your answer wasn't even, what I'm passionate about right now is PR for the church.
Oh.
It was a little different, like a little more basic. When I say basic, foundational,
Yeah.
I'm focusing on connection.
Yeah.
And something you wrote down in the pre-show novelette was you talked about talking less and listening more.
Right.
Why is that?
I think too
critical?
often we want to say or prove that I'm right. And I'm not going to lie. I like to be right. Who doesn't like to be right? But you can't learn of somebody, the ins and outs of somebody, understand them, their stories, their pain, their love, so many other things as well. If you're not listening, if you're always just talking, and you've met people that just talk, right? And it's not a conversation. I don't want to be in that because I'm not really learning anything about you because we're not going to having a back and forth. And you're definitely not learning anything about me, which I would totally be fine with. Like, that's okay. But it's just not fun. It needs to be two-sided. And I think that's an interesting point that you brought up, that I said connecting instead of
Growing a business,
growing
or
a business.
winning this.
So I want to win $1 million or earn $1 million. Because this one time we were sitting in the dentist's office, and the dentist, who is so wonderful, he's like to my daughter, what are the talents that you're focusing on right now or working on? And I don't think she knew what to say. I'm like, she's working on being a good friend. She's working on loving people. She's working on being happy and all these things. He was just like, wait, what? Like, those aren't things you could work on. Like, instead of, I take piano and voice and dance.
And on the volleyball team.
And. But you're not developing anything that has to do with character. I mean, she was in volleyball and she was in piano, but to me, those are just pieces of life that pass. All of the things that we mentioned that she was working on for talents was different. He was just like, oh my gosh, I love that. He was so shocked that you could be something else. And I think a lot of times when you talk to women, if you were to say that to them, they would be like, I'm not talented. I don't have any talents, because they can't play the piano, sing, dance, rodeo.
Our girls did their first barrel. They did their first barrel race.
Are you serious?
The
I love
other day,
that.
a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. It was their
I gotta
first
see
attempt
that.
at a little hometown rodeo.
Oh,
And I am beyond excited, and they are too. Like this, they got to want to do it,
right.
But and it was the windiest. It was a
Dang.
hurricane. It was a hurricane
bad.
out there. It was terrible.
I stayed in the truck with Ruth until they were up.
Cold
Oh, you're like, go.
the coldest,
And then come
most
back.
miserable
Yep, we
rodeo.
did.
And horses they're not particularly fond of wind
You're
or
right.
hurricanes,
Yeah.
and so it was a learning experience. But anyway, you were
But
talking.
you know what I mean, though, right? Everyone
Yeah.
wants to know all these things that you can see and be lauded for. People don't look to say, wow, they are loving, they're kind, they're compassionate, they're considerate, they're friendly, they're this, they're that, which are things you'll have forever. And I think those are the things that we need to focus on fostering and building in our children and our youth, because it will bless people forever. You know, oh, great, you can play the piano, but you are a mean person. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm sorry. Way to go. You rocked that
so true.
concerto. I don't know. It just,
But you are a mean person.
sorry.
No,
But you know what I mean? It's just like, you are mean. You are angry. You are bitter. You are
Judgmental.
I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I heard something recently that I thought was some of the most profound advice from a parent to a child, and it was really the advice was to parents. Hey, where we need to be focusing our efforts with our children is on when we're especially speaking about thoughts about career, right? And kind of that long-term, what do you want to do with your talents, those things, the skills, right?
Yeah.
And basically it was saying we need to help them focus on bringing value
Right.
to their organization or
You can
bringing
always
value
learn
to
a skill.
people.
Definitely.
Always.
At any age.
You can be taught to do anything. Here I am in PR. I've never studied that. I've never been involved in that. But I can learn the skills needed to do my job. But you can't teach these things later in life, these basic
It's harder to
innate
teach older
qualities
dogs.
that make you an asset later in life. But I think they're more vital than this person's going to bring me a lot of money.
Well, you talked about listening. I had a mentor. He was former chairman of the American Heart Association, right? Done sales, entrepreneurship all over the world. And he loved to speak. He was a great speaker. But he taught me this. He said, Seth, always listen.
Right.
Because if you listen to the other person, you already know what you know.
Right.
But now that you've listened to them, you know what they know.
Right.
And that, call it a character, it's also a skill, can go a long ways, right? If you are in business, wow, if you know what you know and you know what they know, what can you do with that?
Right.
Right? Other than actually have connection, right?
Right.
I mean, even just for connection's
There's
sake.
a lot of things you get from that. The connection, the friendship. Hopefully, you learn to love this person. You learn their skill, which helps you better your skills. You become a better asset. I mean, you could list a lot of things. But if you just sit there and talk someone's ear off, I don't know how that benefits anybody. No connection is made. Yeah.
You can also find out maybe you don't want to be their friend.
Right? You can be like, you're mean.
There's not alignment there.
Yes.
That's where that thought comes in. You're mean.
You're mean.
Just, no, thanks.
I get in conversations like this and because I have the ability to communicate, right?
Tell a good story.
Okay, yes. So I'm a storyteller. I can tell a story. But I always kind of try to have this self-awareness that, okay, like I had this situation, I don't remember where it was the other day, and I got in this conversation with somebody, and I know, I didn't really listen. I didn't really listen to them. I got my point across.
Well, sometimes we're in those phases, right? When you need to get your point
Sure,
across.
and I'm not beating myself up, but I'm just saying, understanding. Again, if I listen and I know where they are,
Right.
then I have twice the knowledge, right? I know what I already knew, and then I know what they know, and now I know how what I know might be a benefit or a blessing or not,
Yeah.
right? It's like no alignment, no deal, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I just, but I think of Steph, and I think, you would not label yourself as the person who's going to sit in the center chair and speak most.
No.
But in our business worldwide, if we need connection, there's a go-to girl. It's Elastigirl over here.
Elastigirl. I got to see that spandex.
So do I. No, but it's like, okay, Steph, like we really need connection. We're
step out
working with
here.
some new people. Like, can you sit by these people, right?
Yeah.
Because she does have that innate character, right?
Well, I love connecting with people.
To
Yeah.
listen and to connect.
And you never know who that's going to be with, right?
Yes.
I mean, a few weeks ago, I went to a gala for the new Gail Halverson. It's kind of a museum, heritage center. I mean, just
In Salt
all
Lake?
kinds of things. No,
Where
in
is it?
Spanish Fork, Utah.
In Spanish Fork, Utah.
think I heard
Yeah,
about
at the
it.
airport. It was a beautiful event. I love him. His is probably my favorite modern day story. of service and love and compassion and connecting out of a small moment of service. It's just amazing to me. And I've had the chance to meet him and talk with him, and he's just like the best human. And so I'm like, of course I'm going to go do that. I'm going to support that. And it ended up that my dinner, I'm going to say friend, because he can't be my date. He's not my husband. My dinner friend
Your dinner date. Yeah, exactly.
was a general for, U.S. military. And we just hit it off. Because again, he's just a person.
Mm-hmm.
And he just happens to be a general. But just great to just understand, that he's got a couple of bands and he lives here, he's retiring, he's moving where, all these just little details that you would never see in an article or you never hear on the news, right? It's always the big or the bad. So just to say, oh, I love you as a person of what we could do in this couple of hours. So, gotta be ready.
Yes.
Always be ready. Yeah.
I still want to go grab my phone right now because I want to look at a text thread from you.
Ooh.
Did you not say something? Maybe I just made this up. Did you not say, I don't know, I have to offer to the show or something? Did you say?
Yes, she did.
Didn't she say something?
She did.
Like that?
Well, because I know your show is specific. I'm like, I don't know what I have to offer to that topic.
Wait, what is our show specific to? Excuse me.
Then how did you write a novel?
Well, I didn't know what kind of questions you were asking. Like I said, I was talking to a friend. I'm like, I'm doing an interview about self-care. I'm like, let me read this. What is that? What are they meaning on this?
Okay. First of all, here's how you're going to do a pedicure. No.
Yeah. So once I got into it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can.
You're more than qualified. As I'm sitting here listening to this conversation, I mean, we're just sitting here on a beautiful summer. It is hot here. It's getting hot in Utah.
But it's a beautiful view of
we're
the temple.
literally looking around at the mountain of the Lord's house and the mountains, the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, it's beautiful skies, and there's like 10 chapel steeples that I'm looking at right now.
Absolutely. But I'm just sitting here
funny.
in this conversation, Monica, and I'm thinking, like, just free and easy. We're on point, by the way, if you're wondering if we're rambling. Yeah, we're just having a conversation, though.
Right.
And this show is made for women by women. And me. I'm the resident I'm the resident rookie on the show. But it's so that women can have a deep and meaningful conversation with friends.
Yeah.
At least once a week. And we hope you get more. We hope you have those connections. But we're going to bring you a show that really is going to enrich your life. The character piece. And I'm just thinking, we're just kind of into this, but I just am so glad that you're here and that we're having this conversation because, as you stated, I don't know what I have to contribute to the show, but you've dropped some really important truth, right? And hope and a little bit of friendly best friend advice and an example, right? You're the epitome. I mean, this show is for you, right? So thanks for being here. Thanks for being here.
I had to squeeze you in.
We're glad that we made the cut. Because I'll tell you, we don't make the cut for everybody.
That's true.
And that's okay.
Oh.
That's okay.
I just, you got fires, all kinds of irons in the fire, and you just have to let them sit there and burn for a little bit, hop into something else, then go back and finish all your tasks. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to self-care for the mind, what is your biggest strength?
Working through things quickly, just processing it, getting it in and out. Because I think if you leave too many things sitting, that it just weighs you down.
Yeah.
If it's a hard thing, I'm not saying have the hard thing and just run from it. That's totally different. I'm saying work through that, process that, and then say, okay, I'm over it, I'm through it, I'm around it, whatever I got to do. Because some things you have to go around until it's your time to say, I've processed that. I'm good. And I hear a lot of stories, and I know some of those things can stay for years or a lifetime, right? Which is hard. And so all the little things, just like process it, get it done, get it over with. Not as a checklist thing to say, oh, got that done with, but just to say that, okay, my mind is free of it, my heart is free of it, and now I'm ready for everything else that keeps coming, because it doesn't stop. And the more you hold on to, you can't accept anything more you weigh, whether that's good things or being ready to stand strong for the hard things, right? That will be more of a catastrophic event for you if you have too many other things going on that you haven't dealt with. So yeah, I'd say that's my strongest.
How do you approach that? When you say like approach it, take care of it, like what does that look like for you?
It's not easy sometimes, right? But so for anonymity's sake, I'm just going to make this neutral. So let's say you had a person that you really didn't understand their personality, and it showed different things that you're like, I don't understand that. I don't get that at all. I would never say that. I would never do that. You have to try to work through that. Like, oh, is it me? Is it them? What's going on here, right? What's the dynamic here? And in this specific situation, I just had to say, I don't get it. But whatever it is, I'm just going to forgive it. So I don't have to think about it anymore. I'm going to forgive. A few years go by, and you learn that they have a little bit of a condition like a ADD, ADHD, autism, Asperger's, what it used to be called, right? You learn, and you're like, oh, everything makes sense. All of it makes sense. And then that moment you can say, I'm so glad I forgave when I didn't have the reason to forgive. You just had to choose to forgive. Because as soon as I did that, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. And so once I learned that, everything else was, when they do something weird, quirky, whatever, I could just laugh instead of like being embarrassed or upset about it. I could just be like, oh, I totally get it. Right? So that's just one thing, right? Just why sit and worry on this and stew about it when you don't get it? You got to just forgive and, okay, next. Because there's going to be something else that you have to kind of observe and process, trying to understand. And it's not always a bucket of cherries. It's more like full of pits. So I think that really focus on that. It's not easy. Just step in, and everyone's going to figure that out on their own, how that works in their mind, right? The processes they have to go through personally. Do you need counseling to work through something, to get it off your heart, off your mind? Then use that. If you don't have the built-in skills, use what's assets you have in front of you, because then you'll just be better. You'll be better for everyone around you, right? Because you're just free.
So, Monica, what does a healthy mindset mean to you, and how has it impacted your life?
I think it comes down to letting only positive things stay in your space, in your thought processes, surrounding you, the people, everything, music you listen to, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Totally.
So what kind of music do you listen to help you keep that space?
Or movies.
The activities you participate in, right? All of these things contribute to that. And I think that the more positive way you talk to yourself resonates louder than anyone might think. So growing up, my mom was all about positivity, positive words, positive energy, positive vibes, positive affirmations. And so I grew up with that, and I understand completely that not everyone had that blessing. Parents can be mean sometimes. Parents can be cruel, right? And we know this. We hear stories. So I had that gift, and because of that, it's with me still. All of the things that you want to accomplish, all of the things that take you, that you need to take you to these places, you can't do any of them if you're just letting all of this harshness sit with you and lead you, right? Your thoughts lead you. So here's just a funny story. And we've been talking about, I'm like, in the morning when I wake up and you first look in the mirror, this is not going to be like beautiful when I walk out of bed. Let's just be honest. It's going to be a total mess. And you look in the mirror, what's the first things that you say to yourself when you wake up? Oh my gosh, that's a mess. You're a mess. You're ugly. You're unpresentable, whatever the phrase is that comes to you. But mine is always, ooh, you're hot. Total sarcasm, because that is not hot. It's a total mess. And you're just looking in the mirror. You know how morning face looks, right? You're just like, oh, I'm up. I'm not present quite yet. And so to start with that, even though it's total sarcasm, it's a more positive way of then saying, oh, you are so ugly this morning. Mm-hmm. How would that start off your day if that was your verbiage to yourself every single day? That's harsh.
Totally.
That's harsh. And I totally laugh at myself. I mean, how can you not laugh at yourself and the messy hair and the glasses are on and your pajamas are skewed and it's just like the perfect picture of the day. And then, you work it out and you put yourself together. But we need to start talking better to ourselves. And if we're talking good to ourselves, we're talking better to others, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking at people, others, because how we view ourselves is usually then projected onto others. How do we view others? Mm-hmm. And so if we can bring that in a little bit, all of our headspaces would be so much better. Our mindset would be better.
What a gift from your mother.
Oh, for sure. She was an original. People didn't understand that. They didn't believe it. They had a hard time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet she was a unicorn.
Oh, totally. Totally a unicorn. Positive words throughout the house, taped everywhere, and walk behind her.
She was the original.
Pulling these down, these are so tacky. It doesn't go with the decor, Mom. Right? The designer in me.
The clash of the interior designer.
It totally was. I'm like, this is so tacky.
She should have put them in picture frames.
She should have. And over the years, she has advanced to framing the positive affirmations. But
she was pre-vinyl lettering.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The white paper with... Oh, she was the original emoji maker. Everything was smiley faces and loves and hugs and whatevers, right? If she wrote you a card, it was like, add a heart here, smiley face, little ant here, right? Whatever she could draw. I totally see that as the blessing when you come in contact with people, that didn't have that positivity.
Something I started doing several years ago is writing those types of phrases, I am phrases, on my mirror.
Yeah.
And so anytime I pass by it or look in it, or those one words would be
jumps out at
in
you.
a line. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was super helpful.
And I don't think that people understand. You could write a list of the things you are if you just sat down and focused on it. Only positive things.
Definitely.
Right? Nothing I am. You can't write down, I am fat, I am slow, I'm not athletic, right?
Yes.
But that's what comes to people's minds.
But that's what's in the mind.
That's what's in the mind.
You have being bombarded constantly.
Totally change that and be like, I'm amazing at this. I have a gift of this. I am this. I'm a blessing to so-and-so. I'm a, and have you ever seen the show Overcomer?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
The movie?
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie? I actually saw a movie.
I did, but I fell asleep.
Oh,
oh my goodness.
Such a good movie.
I think it was late at night. I know.
Such a good message. It's about
Yes.
her jumping into the Bible and reading these specific verses. And I wish I had those at the top of my mind because I know I have them listed in my phone. And it just goes through certain things. It says, I am, bum, 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 bum. And it's just powerful. It's like, God is speaking to you that you are this amazing being. You're this amazing creation. And you're totally bringing yourself down. You're degrading yourself. You're treating your body less than it is. You're beautifully made. Why aren't we jumping into understanding that?
Well, I'm such a visual person so when you were saying that, it made me think of, God handing you a gift and you took it and destroyed it.
Oh, yeah. There's so much beauty in people, and then they go and, do all these things that are available today to change themselves.
Yes.
From what they already were, this beautiful person.
Yes.
And I can only try and understand, what's going on inside. Like.
Well, you said you didn't let those thoughts stay. When you answer, your initial answer was, I only keep the positivity. So
right.
Are you saying that, you have these actors coming onto your stage of life who aren't nice,
right.
the meanies as well,
Yeah.
but you just, what do you do about that?
Are you talking thoughts or actual people?
No. Yes.
I was wondering the same thing, so.
I'll be honest, I don't get a lot of negative thoughts. Because I'm pretty protected in that space because of years of
training,
yes. Right? And I'm always just like, oh, you know what? Satan, you are not winning today. Don't even think about it, right? This is not your space, and it's not going to happen. And if something does creep in, it's just, okay, let's move through that, whatever that was, and just be done with it. And that space does encompass people, right? People can bring different energies. And if you're like, you know what, there's something negative here or whatever, you can move on from that. That's your life. You do not have to keep people in your life that can bring you down, weigh you down. You can be kind to people, loving to people, but that does not grant them access to your space. And I think people need to be more controlling of that. That is their life. That is their space. And the more you can do that, then you'll surround yourself with the best people, the nicest, the friendliest, the kindest, whatever you need, right? Sometimes you need the powerful, right? Someone that's just like, I got it all in me, right? Why can't they be in your space if they work with it? But when someone doesn't work with what you need.
How do you balance the call of Christianity, which is to give a life of service to those, to anyone, regardless of label? And, we look at the Bible, in Scripture, and we know that Jesus spent a lot of his time. Yes, he was training a leadership corps.
Right.
And he chose to spend his time with, at that time, the lower classes, right. Or people who were struggling, or right. People who were carrying demons, right?
Right.
The evil spirits in the hearts of men, as it says in Scripture. How do you balance that with, at the same time, controlling your space, right? I think sometimes we hear, sorry for bumping you again.
It's the man spreading that's getting in our space.
Speaking of space, sometimes life is truly about balancing different principles. Like, how do you balance your space and owning that, and at the same time sharing what you have, the light, the truth, the love, the passion, the finances with somebody who doesn't, right? Who might be a big pain in the butt, right? And with a lot of negativity. So how do you answer the call of Christianity and
create boundaries?
Oh, okay. Thanks for answering.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Create boundaries. I mean, I think Christ was the best example of so many things, right?
Everything.
I have no problem being with the lowest of the low. I have absolutely no problem with that. I've helped build a house in Mexico for a cute old lady, and I don't know that she had 2 pennies to rub together. And there's something in humility and in the humble that you can't get maybe in other social classes that can teach you and touch you and bless you. It's just beautiful. I'll give anyone a chance. But if you take that chance to ruin it, then, I'm a big believer in if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean, they're going to be different next time and next time and next time and next time, right? And so I do believe people when they show me and tell me who they are. So here's an example. In November and in April, I lived on the streets to be homeless for like 7 hours, right? Just to experience the basics of it. Walking on the street, the weather, freezing cold, rain.
You did that
I did that. Where do they go for help? Where do they sleep? How do they shower? How do they go to the bathroom? Right? All the things that we don't think about. Mm-hmm. And in the last opportunity I had to do this, there was a lady there that was homeless on the streets, I would say, for at least 2 decades. And she's no longer homeless, but she approached me with some, obviously, anger inside of her, hurt, turmoil, trauma. And she told me her story. I'm like, I can't say I understand because I don't understand what you've been through, but I can have empathy for your situation and I can listen to you. And she was, abrasive and harsh towards a few things. But I think because I took the time to listen to her story and understand her, she understood that I was being real. I was just like, I'm sorry about that, good luck. And by the end of the night, she's like, here's my phone number. I really believe that you were sincere in what we were discussing. So if I wouldn't have given her that moment to work through whatever she needed to get off her chest, then we wouldn't have arrived at the end where it's like, I love you. I'm grateful for you. I'm sorry for your struggles because I haven't experienced any of that. And I don't know that I will. So I think you still need to give everyone a chance, even when they show their show their claws and try to work it out. It doesn't always work, but everyone deserves a chance. And we learn so much from Christ's example of just being everywhere. But you also need to understand that he drew boundaries. He was loving and considerate and compassionate and all of these amazing gifts that we're trying to aspire to. But he also had lines of, no, that's not okay. No, that's not something that I'm willing to do if it's taking me out of my morals or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Why can't we draw boundaries for our own lives? Why do we let people draw boundaries for our lives? So I think when we can figure that out, again, different for every situation, again, frees up space. You're like, they're not coming here, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Right?
They can be really hard to learn and implement.
Yeah.
It's one thing to know what a boundary is. It's another to actually put it in practice. For me, some people are a lot easier to do that with.
Right.
I find that family is a lot harder. But yeah, I mean, a lot of thoughts on boundaries.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
They can bring a lot of peace into your life. I feel like it can also be an invitation to bring people into the peace.
Oh, for sure. You can let anyone into your space that you want, right? Yeah. But you're the decider.
Yes.
Unfortunately and fortunately, I mean, you don't want to be mean.
Yes.
I heard somebody put boundaries this way. I think, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, we started to talk about this word boundary. It seemed like it started to come into...
Hey, that's when I came into your life.
Actually, I'm going to say it was before then. But no, I don't know. It was sometime around there in the last decade or decade and a half, whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean by boundaries? Like, what does that mean? It's like, there's a fence and I can't go, you know. I was like, what does that mean? Or somebody might say to you, well, you're crossing my boundaries. I'm like, dude, I'm just sitting here. Like, you know. And
some people's boundaries are really close, right? And some are very wide. And so you don't know when you've crossed over to someone's space.
Well, one thing I learned.
So it wasn't you, Seth.
Well, yeah. So one thing I learned was having a healthy boundary is a line or a limit that you've created, you know, a space that doesn't require anything from anybody else.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that just helped me.
Right.
Like me just breathe. Like if somebody says, you're crossing my boundary because I'm sitting here with a hat and boots on, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do anything. Like,
right.
Well, I have this boundary. I can't be around cowboys. Then guess what?
You're welcome to leave.
Exactly. Like having a healthy boundary, having boundaries or healthy boundaries isn't telling everybody else what they can't do around you.
Right.
Right. It's more about how are you going to act or respond, I could say react, right? In that environment. Oh, okay. So if I'm around somebody wearing hats and boots, then I know that I need to remove myself. That can be maybe a little weird, but that at least
that's
it's
just
setting,
a simplified explanation.
Exactly. That's setting a healthy boundary for yourself that, okay, I'm going to remove myself from the situation. Not that person needs to go.
Right. Because if you remove yourself, that's to one person. If you start putting all these demands on people, that's everybody else around you.
Right.
Yes.
That's not healthy.
Well, and it's staying within your own control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can control your thoughts, your emotions.
I'm inviting you into my space as long as, you know, these things like
You honor that.
Yes. And this is what it looks like, you know, not yelling at me, not degrading me, not, you know, certain behaviors. And, you know, it's an invitation. They don't have to accept it.
It just helped me because I know a lot of people throw around these words boundaries. I've got my boundaries. And well, yeah, but your boundaries can never handcuff somebody
other people.
else.
That's
Exactly.
correct. I love that.
That's true.
I mean,
You heard it here on the Forever Young Show.
Here's an example. I have a friend who is going through a divorce, and so that's something completely new to her life. She has to learn boundaries like that. And that's hard because you've got emotion and love and friendship and kids and family, extended family, all history involved in this.
So much investment.
To watch her try and navigate that's hard. I had to be like, that's not okay that he says that. That's not okay that he wants to say that. That's not okay that he wants to still do that when it's severed. It's not, I can pick and choose what I want from both sides.
Yes.
It's severed. And, you know, that's just one situation of trying to navigate all of these things. It's like this now.
Well, it's a new relationship, right? We're
It's a
redefining
new-
the relationship.
yes.
And because of that, we have to set up new parameters.
Right.
You know, a new constitution. Constitution is a set of boundaries. Right. And
helps keep the peace.
like
If you look at it that way, it helps keep the peace.
Totally. And if you think about it, like it just dawned on me, like how many people that are going through divorces that have healthy boundaries? Do you know anybody?
Probably very few. I think it's because they're just thrown into this new wiggly line, right? There's no straight, clear cut. And every single one is going to be different.
Oh, for sure.
Right? I mean, how many
Very
people do you have in the
personalized.
middle of this?
Yep.
4, 12, 70? Right?
Yeah.
Then you have that many more dynamics to work into it. So,
Yeah.
hard.
So, Monica, can you share with us any experiences you've had with overcoming self-doubt or imposter syndrome and any advice that you'd give to somebody struggling with those issues?
I don't really struggle with self-doubt or imposter syndrome.
You need to write a book on this,
I don't know how to write a book on that.
Monica. Well, you can learn that skill.
Oh gosh. My English teacher might roll over in his grave.
Just get it. That's why
She did what?
an editor. You would validate your English teacher. They'd be like,
he'd be like, wow, I was
dang.
a rock star teacher. And part of that, I think, is just because you have to give yourself leeway and know that your life is ever changing. You're going to be giving these tasks, these monumental changes in your life here and there that you'll need to work through. And you just need to give yourself grace. Like, okay, I'm starting this. And so I know I'm going to mess up. That's just a given. Let's start with that so that when you do, you're not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Well, you should believe that you did that because you've never been here before.
Exactly.
So let's just start it off being real. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. But guess what? You're going to learn from those. I love the phrase, sometimes I win and sometimes I
Learn.
learn. Right. I don't ever lose.
Yes.
And I laugh a lot. At whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's in the title of the book, by the way. Something with laughing.
It should just be called I Laugh a Lot.
Yes.
A guide to self-care.
A guide to self-care. Because you just have to. When you look at it, you're just like, oh my gosh, I was such a fool in that situation. Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. How could I not have seen that in that moment? Looking back, we're a little bit wiser. And my family laughs at me. We laugh at me together. Oh, yeah. Just like some of the stuff that I have to post or make for social media. I'm just like, that's just the most ridiculous thing. That is so embarrassing. And they validate me. They're like,
And they're like, yes, Mom.
oh, yes.
We
you
were
are
embarrassed
correct.
for you.
We are embarrassed with you. Because that was just awful. I'm like, I know. Because I've never been here before. And that's what it is. I'm trying to piece this together. I don't know any of this technology. I don't know the ins and outs of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube algorithms and whatever. And I don't like filming myself. And so this is what you get. And it's just real. And I'm so sorry. Hopefully it'll be more polished in a couple of years. But you got to realize that that's just the path. And why can't you laugh at it? Why do you have to beat yourself down? Why do you have to criticize yourself in all these new spaces, which can be every day? If you're beating yourself down every day because you did something wrong or you made a mistake, how can you ever grow beyond an inch?
Yep.
You'll never reach your potential. You'll never shine. You'll never be able to spread your wings and just do amazing things. And hopefully you'll find people out there that will be like, oh, yes, you're going to do that. Let me help you do that. Let's make that happen. Right?
Like Seth, he just recently for the nonprofit organization that I'm on the board for, they asked me to be the fundraising chairwoman.
Ooh.
And I was like,
Madam Chairwoman.
Madam Chair.
I don't know about this. This is 100% out of my comfort zone. I've never done it before in my life. Especially taking on such a big leadership role.
Right.
And it scares me to death.
Right.
And Seth has been my cheerleader all along the way. You can do this. You're learning. You're made for this. And I'm just like, I seriously would have quit so long ago if I did not have him cheering me on and saying, it's okay. Like you have people here. The board is very supportive and encouraging too. Yeah. But they don't understand.
And I don't think that being in that starstruck moment of like, wait, what? Is self-doubt.
Mine is.
Right? Okay, let's talk through this. We're going to talk through this. So to me, self-doubt is, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not capable of XYZ, right? All of those things. But to be like surprised and kind of in this space of, oh, wow, that's not self-doubt. That's just a point of adjustment and shifting.
I'm doing both.
Okay. And
I'm doing both.
And so you're going to bring in all the positive. You're going to bring in all the positive stuff. And so when I got this calling, you cannot look at me and tell me that my eyes weren't big as dollars and I didn't bawl my eyes out for a month.
That makes me feel better.
Right? And it wasn't because of self-doubt. It was just like, this is a change. Look what I have to leave behind. I had to be released from my state calling to receive this calling. I'm having to step back from another calling that I have that I've loved. Had to step away from work. So that you're processing emotions, and there's nothing wrong with processing emotions at all, right? But when you have a shift, you're going to have a reaction. But just don't let the negative thoughts come in of, oh, yes, I got this calling, but XYZ's
I'm not this
against
enough.
me.
I'm not that enough.
Right. You can't let those even enter your space, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to try my best at that. And in a year, check in with me. And I guarantee you it would be a different situation. You'd be like, I'm a rock star. I'm so good at that. Oh my gosh, look what we were able to accomplish. I'm stronger at this, or I need to work on that. And there's nothing wrong with self-evaluation. And
Yeah, definitely.
and if you have the right friends to even say, what can I do better? There's nothing wrong with saying that. Oh, can you watch this for me and give me an evaluation? Not to knock me, but so I can improve. I can be better. I've got no problem with that if it's going to help me be better.
Oh,
Give me
for
criticism.
sure.
I don't care.
For sure.
Sometimes it might sting if you're not asking for the evaluation, right? If it just comes like, oh. I'm just thinking of like situations with all these things.
I know, right?
Oh,
That's why I'm laughing.
Ooh, right. Yes. Lovely. But, I had to do a lot of presentations within the financial career. It takes a lot to become number one, I should say, number one in Utah, number one in the mainland, because there's different spaces that it was in. You don't just start there. And again, that was new for me to help my friend launch his company here. That was never my realm, never my dream, never my goals, but I was willing to step in and help him. And that was awesome. And you just process it all. I would record all these things I had to do, and I'd send them to a friend. Hey, can you watch this for me? Give me some tips. What did I miss? What am I doing? So I could fine tune it and be better. That's a process.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with a process?
Nothing.
Nothing. But yet we beat ourselves up because we're in a process. I don't think that's how we're supposed to live life. Love the process, even when it's like a side swipe. Like out of the blue. Oh, sorry about that. I'll do better.
It's a great description.
Because sometimes it is, right? You're like, I think I'm doing great. And then something can come at you.
Or a Mack truck.
Yeah, with a Mack truck sometimes. But if you've got, again, like I said, that space is just clear. You've worked through all the little things. You don't have a ton of things still weighing on you. You can process that a lot faster and easier and just be done with it and be on your way, whatever time frame that is for you. But hopefully faster.
Yeah, I'm feeling better, but still at the beginning stages of it. So it's...
Yeah, you're going to do it great. You're going to be a rock star.
Thank you.
You're going to do it. It's a great organization. When you just need to find your why and that passion. And you'll just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's there. It's totally there. That's why I wear this bracelet every day to help remind me, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Because I have a connection. I got this in Tanzania when I went on my humanitarian trip last year. They gave it to us. And so it's a gentle reminder every day of why and what I'm doing to, But I think that's also one of the big reasons why I'm having such a difficult time seeing myself, as this rock star, like you say, in it, because it's such a huge responsibility.
But it takes time.
Huge.
Right? And when I say see yourself as a rock star, I don't mean walking around like, I am so amazing.
I'm sexy.
I'm sexy. You're not going to look in the mirror and be like, I am so hot and mean it. Okay. You still have to have humility. So you just have to I don't know, grow into the space. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good phrase. Mm-hmm. You don't step into the space, you grow into the space.
Call it growing pains.
Yeah, you grow into this space of challenges, heartache, sadness, laughter, happiness,
Yes.
all the human emotions.
I feel like all along, though, like being on the board, not even a year yet, it's been like, oh, I can contribute. I can, I have my why, but then it's maybe I'm taking on too much responsibility. Yeah. Of it all, which I probably am. Because even when I told them and I accepted, they were like, Stephanie, you don't have to do it all. I'm like, I know. But
I can't not.
But I'm the leader. So like at the end of the day, it's my responsibility.
And it's hard to say no to good things.
No, I actually almost did say no. I even made the phone call and was going to say no. And then God told me that I was supposed to do it. And I was like, are you sure?
He's like, no. I got bigger plans for you. I need you to grow into this space.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
He's got a funny way of working it out.
Yes, he does.
What can we do?
I'm crying because I'm thinking of all the people.
Yeah.
That this will impact.
And bless, right?
Yes.
Not just
for generations.
impact, but the blessings. Yeah.
Yes.
Also many amazing things.
Change their lives.
Yeah.
And these are people that, they don't have water.
I know.
They don't have food. They don't have the bare necessities of life.
Yeah.
So.
And here we are worrying about all of this.
That I wore one earring
stuff.
and took it off because I
You forgot the other earring. Such a first world problem, Stephanie.
We're halfway
Come
here. Although Stephanie loves earrings. She loves putting her earrings on.
She does love
do.
And she's really good at it. And so we're driving here and I just see her. She reaches up and she's like,
You're seriously going there.
I only have one earring.
Oh. Life. Isn't it grand?
It is. It's beautiful.
And messy. Grand and messy.
Yes. So how can women balance physical health, mental health, and self-care in their daily lives?
Eek. Just that question in a nutshell, I think would be overwhelming for women. It just seems like a lot. Mm-hmm. But I think if you just work through, all the things that we've talked about, it will help place all those in line, right? You got to work with the mind first and foremost. And then you can do the body, the spirit, the soul, all this other stuff. Love yourself, I think. In life's complexities, I think that if you just have a good foundation of the who am I and whose am I, that's something that will help you get through everything. You know how important you are, whether that's going on in the earthly things that are happening or not. That's a strong foundation, right? Okay, I don't have maybe great parents, great family, great work environment, great neighbors, great friends, whatever, right? You're always going to have these little things. But I know for a fact that I am a son or daughter of heavenly parents. That's a fact. I can always turn to that relationship. I can always turn to Christ. I can turn things over to Christ to carry for me when it's maybe too much. And from my experience, he always takes it. So several years ago, our mountain was on fire. And of course, my husband's out of town. harvesting a bull elk.
Sounds like heaven.
Doesn't it? And he calls, he's like, I mean, that's a once in a lifetime draw, right? It's a big deal. He calls and says, now, do I need to come home? I hear the mountain's on fire. But I'm like, well, what are you going to do when you come here? It's happening no matter what. And we've got it all packed up. So that's not going to help. So I'm there on the mountain by myself with my children. And when they first got the call to say, we're evacuating, it's the first response is kind of like, right? Just, oh my gosh, this is really happening. This is going on. And I'm starting to gather stuff because I already have a list typed up in my office. When you live in the forest, you need to be prepared. And it was just like a piece of paper that said, get this from this room, get this from this room. So I could just give everyone a piece of paper and say, go gather those things. In the initial panic, it was just like, Monica, you just need to say a prayer and it will be all okay, right? Just like that panic will go away. And I did. I just like, Heavenly Father, I need you to take this for me and make us just okay with this so that we can function and pack up and get out of here. And totally, immediately, calm. Everyone's doing their thing. We're packed up. One of my sons and his buddy are running around helping neighbors pack up their stuff because we've got our stuff under control. We're waiting there, listening to music like "Burn, Baby, Burn," "Burn, Baby, Burn, Baby, Burn," right? Whatever it was, just trying to live in this weird, crazy moment of unknown. But we had peace through it all, and we packed up with all of our neighbors and drove off the mountain, drove away from my house, and I was okay with that. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever see my house again. It's a thing. You can replace that. I had my children, I had their memorabilia, I had some of, the mementos, some things I had to leave behind. I had some beautiful china from my grandmother, some silver from my grandmother, and I just had to leave them. And that was fine. I just like took mental pictures and tied the memories in. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to store this because this is all I'm gonna have. And we drove away, and that's totally fine.
But the house didn't burn, fortunately.
The house didn't burn. But if you understand the stories of that whole experience, God's hand was in all of it. The winds were raging on that mountain. The flames were coming up behind the mountain and coming to crest the mountain, and the winds were blowing with it. So it's pushing it over the mountain. Mm-hmm. The wind is so strong, it's pushing over the firefighters, right? They can't stand into the wind very well. And that fire didn't move. It should be crushing down that mountain. And the fire chief actually told our mayor, just so you know, in the morning, your city will be gone. Imagine being poor Mayor Prey in that moment. And then when it didn't happen, they're like, we don't know who you worship, but that's a powerful being, powerful God, because that should not be happening in any way, shape, or form. And then a few years later, maybe actually just a few months later, the springtime, my son was on a walk and he came to this point where it was a straight line. I mean, no jagged edges, straight line, burnt charred, beautiful green spring growth. And he took a picture of it, and it was beautiful to just say, like, it stopped here. It didn't move from here. There was no chance of it moving. I mean, it was like a wall was built there of protection. So, when you understand the beauty of God, the love of God, all the glory that comes with him and how he loves us so individually, I think that's a perfect way to see it. Like he's going to build that wall for you and help you through whatever.
We are super grateful that you're here.
Yes.
And wow, I mean, we laid down, it just never ceases to amaze me. You know, we come into the studio, but then we really just have a conversation.
Right.
Connection. We connect, you know, and, you know, I know for a fact that these stories are connecting with women around the world because they tell us.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
They tell us that, wow, I needed that conversation today because I was in mourning, right? Or, hey, you two, this show needs to be in thousands of ears, right?
Oh.
In front of thousands of women. We're like,
Yeah.
if they would agree, I would agree.
We're
right?
trying.
It's a process.
Oh, it's a process.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But thank you for pouring your heart and soul and experience. And we're doing we'll do you a favor too. We're doing the preview for your book about
I laugh a lot.
I Laugh a Lot, A Guide to Overcoming Imposter Syndrome
Ooh,
by
there you
Monica
go.
Bambrough.
There you go.
How about that?
I'll read it.
Can it be a novelette?
Sure.
Yes.
You get to decide.
I got to
it is.
practice that just last night and this morning. So
Just like chairwoman.
yeah,
Like, I'm no chairman.
don't call me a man. I am no man. I'm a woman.
And hear me roar.
Yes, it's a good song. You're gonna hear me roar. Why not?
And cut. It's a wrap.
Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for sharing this episode with that one friend who needs this conversation. Thank you for all the ratings, the reviews, the comments, and especially the support. We so appreciate you.
Now, if you want to take a peek behind the curtain and be the first to know about special previews, backstage updates here at the show, and especially some private collection content that doesn't come out in the regular show,
Be sure to join our VIP community at theforeveryoungshow.com.